Hello, everybody. My name's Diane Dumashie. I'm joined by Kelvin Sereetsi from Botswana. This is all about turning the tide. It's about African young surveyors, about you, about all the generations of surveyors across the continent. And what Kelvin and I wanted to do was to really launch the tale of our countries from 2021 onwards. And we'll explain what we mean by that in a moment. So this Turning the Tide for Africa, it's a series of conversations that involve surveyors across the generations. And over the next 15 to 20 minutes, we're going to be listening to Kelvin in conversation with me and me in conversation with Kelvin. And then I'm going to explain a little bit about what we're all going to do, hopefully, in the upcoming 12-month journey all together. So let me hand over to Kelvin. Kelvin, over to you.
Thank you, Diane. It has been said that for someone who has begun surveying in general practice, you have and continue to make an extraordinary career that has led you to the vice president of the International Federation of Surveyors, otherwise known as FIG, and as a trustee of a charity, Lionheart. You have spent most of your career in land and property. Since those early days, what has been your overriding drive and passion in the profession?
Oh, right. Wow. So I guess to say my key motivation has always been to grow and expand in order to give back sort of a more capable service to people, rounded, if you like. So I guess the easy answer to that is I'm really involved. I want to ensure my contribution is going to be energized to make things better rather than simply accepting things as they are.
Fantastic. Um, Again, you are the vice president of FIG. How did you get involved? And how has this position enabled you to help shape and influence?
Well, having a position of vice president, I have to say I didn't start there. I worked up through the organization, having come in really, first of all, I went to an FIG conference and then understood what it was about. From there, I was a commission chair for a couple of years, for 2 terms, which is unusual, by the way, but it just happened. That was spatial planning and development. I then was asked to look at Africa as a specific continent to work with. And therefore, I founded and developed, as you know, first the African Task Force and then the African Regional Network. And that was because I was supported in the initial early days by the then president, Professor Stig Enemark. He asked me to do this. From there, I then became elected as vice president. And from the vice presidency point of view, I then helped ACO, which is the commission chairs. It's when they all get together in order to discuss and be involved in the mechanics of FIG. I chaired that group for 4 years, as well as the network. And so I think you can see what I've done is to start in the early days and learn about the organization, learn about the people, the very strength of people involved in our membership. And by doing so, I've been able to create a lot of contacts, relationships, and by that, bring people in to help the objectives of FIG.
Extraordinary, really excellent stuff there. Right. So you've spoken about working with Africans, working with the African professional. Was this the beginning of you raising the profile of Africa and the African professional within FIG?
As you know, my fatherland is Ghana. My motherland is UK. So I've always been so passionate about the African continent and particularly my fatherland. So I've always had that antennae out in all my work and worked on the continent since the turn of the century. Gosh, that sounds a long time ago, doesn't it? Anyway, so when I came into FIG, it was something I noticed that, you know, there's so many African professionals involved, but why are they not in senior positions? And that's, you know, going back to what I said earlier, that was why I suppose I really felt there must be something to work with African professionals in FIG, as well as my own work, in order to encourage them to be much more involved.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, I think for now, that's my questions to you.
Yeah, I think it's my turn, which is great because Kelvin, we first met in Gaborone in 2018 at the Africa Regional Network workshop. And I was so impressed by you and the Young Surveyor team. And in particular, you were so dedicated to what you were doing then. And I also learned there how you are so involved in your professional association, the Botswana Institute of Geomatics. So my first question would be, could you outline the range of your involvement? You know, your continuing goals in the upcoming future of BIG and your Geomatics Association?
I don't know. I guess my involvement with BIG or my Malcolm B, or let's just say my involvement in BIG, started first before I was even a member of the institute. So from the very first year of graduation, before I even got my first job, I was a member of BIG. Back then, BSMA, Surveyors and Mapping Association. And in the first election year that I was a member, I ran for elections. I opted to be the public relations committee member, and luck would have it, I got the position, and I was elected to be the PR of BIG. So since about 2017, I've been the PR of BIG, and that has involved marketing the association, that has involved engaging the local media, and if possible, the international media. So my involvement really has been in that, marketing the profession, marketing the association.
Yeah.
And my future plan, I don't know, maybe the community is small here in Botswana. So I feel that we can grow it by having events that attract people to the profession, because we do need more surveyors. We do need more fresh minds and brilliant minds. There are lots of brilliant minds out there. So we need to have more events. We need to engage more professionals, not just the traditional surveyors, because generally in Africa, we used to surveyors. So even when you say geomatics, people get lost. But when you say surveying, now we hear you. My interest, especially that I'm still a young guy, is to really have the youth voice. Just have the youth as involved as much as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I also understand that you know, you're involved in the Botswana Geomatics Youth Network, and it's actually your initiative, which is, you know, wow, what an inspiration. How do you, though, think about succession planning? I know it's tricky because it always is, but you know, what do you do about that? Are you yet considering it, or you know, where are you, and where is it as far as that network is concerned? Just briefly.
Right. Well, first of all, I am not looking to be, you know, a dictator for years and years to come and die with the network. No. I would rather leave a legacy of thoughts, legacy of programs, legacy of structure. So the plan as is, even in the genesis of the Geomatics Youth Network, is to formulate a structure, an administrative structure, that they will be people who actually are a central committee to this network. You'd have your treasurers, you'd have your secretaries, your vice presidents, such and such. However, the current state of this particular structure is disappointing because there is less involvement from the youth. so my 2021 plans is to reinvent that particular structure and populate it.
Can you just outline the opportunities and challenges that you see to remain connected and active with your fellow surveyors across the continent?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I think the ARN, the 2018 Africa Regional Network, which also had the first Young Surveyors meeting in Botswana, that was a huge boost for us regionally in Africa. Because one, that opened the doors for even us in Botswana to network with other young surveyors from across Africa. That's when I got to know that there's a youth network president in Zimbabwe and in South Africa. And we developed close ties, even the guys from Ghana and Rwanda. So we have now a good network of like-minded professionals outside of Botswana. So there is great opportunity to strengthen those networks and those engagements. And I'd also say, I think COVID-19 has really opened more doors than has challenged us or has crippled us. Network more. Even now, we're having talks through Zoom, and we are having online discussions and seminars. And this is making it far much easier for us now to strengthen those networks. The challenges, of course, still exist in participation. We still have to change youth mindsets and participation. I think some of it is partly due to the lack of confidence in one's ability, especially when you're not yet economically active. The high unemployment rates in Africa tend to reduce people's confidence in engaging professionally, because you feel, hey, I'm not employed, what do I have to offer? But I don't know, I think with these sort of turning the tides 2021, that is really going to help alleviate some of these challenges.
Yeah. You know, Kelvin, you are an inspiration with the things you are saying. And I just to briefly return to your question on, raising the profile of young professionals in Africa. It's this very reason that we are launching this Turning the Tide. You know, you're launching it along with me. Because yes, you are connected, that this is a fantastic opportunity for us to move forward. But and I guess I was starting to think along the lines of, what is it that we can do to really regularly have some sort of base of contact? Because as surveyors, we have a very special privileged, if we wish to take it, position in society, because we can improve people's lives by positively influencing the places that in which they live and work. We all sort of see that. And as you say, economically, it's not happening right now, but we can work and network with each other and learn with each other to do that. So before I go into this idea of connectivity, is there sort of a couple of final words that you just want to say really briefly? And also I will try and get on to screen share.
Right. No, just final words. I honestly think this initiative is brilliant for the young surveyors and for Africa, because personal branding or professional branding is not something that we are accustomed to. I, for one, have never considered myself as a professional brand. I thought, no, the company is the brand, the organization is the brand, the institute, educational institute is a brand, but myself as a professional, never considered that. So I honestly think this is really going to boost not just the mindset, but also the productivity of young professionals.
Yeah. Well, and it's great that you're with me on it right now, because of course, in Botswana, when we all met in 2018, we started talking about branding. You just reminded me. And so actually maybe that I'll bring that up in a moment or two. So right now, I'm going to share my screen. just so that people can see a little bit about the ideas that have been developing in my mind. And as I say, this is all about connectivity. And our 2021 journey, has got to be aspirational, and there's some fundamentals I want to quickly run through. What it means to you, i.e. the rewards to young surveyors and other surveyors across the generations. But it requires a bit of an investment, which is just time and hopefully engagement, as well as building capacity before going to action. So in terms of aspirational, it's, keep connected. We have to turn the tide of the experience of last year in 2020. Let's get connected. Let's have fun. I hear what you say, Kelvin. You're being connected anyway, but is there something else to ramp up? And it's about listening together. It's about creating together, and hopefully delivering your skills for leadership, as well as skills across all surveyor generations. And in terms of fundamentals, I had this idea that we would be discussing themes such as leadership and the digitalization, what's going on with this, consumption, how it's evolving, climate change, of course, and what that means to our profession. Importantly, what can we do to be really involved, as well as the people aspect, the demographics, which I've talked about before. There is a war for talent out there. Companies want young surveyors. You mentioned, Kelvin, there are not enough coming in. Those that are in are going to be highly sought after. So it is all about you as young surveyors, and also about all generations and surveyors. And I would say the rewards, well, I would like to hope the rewards, that we're linking and we're sharing knowledge, we're enhancing our own skills so that we're effective in our own country, but also across the continent. That's why that network is important. And across the world, there is global demand for skills that we as professionals have. So we do need to be responsive. We need to recognize our talents, build our talents. But above all, if we're not connected with each other, with our communities, our global community, then we're not going to learn very easily. So there's an investment side to all of this. Not huge, I'd like to think, but I'm going to provide the platforms and some of the content ideas I've mentioned before. But having said that, I want to encourage your engagement on the platform, and I want your ideas as well. And maybe I can have another chat with you, Kelvin, offline. We can talk about the next one, etc. It's all about showcasing our great people. That's you, and it's other people in the profession. And every one of these activities, I want a young surveyor in, just like Kelvin, you're in now. Kwabena has helped me on an SDG webinar, which actually was with the RICS, but that was last year. That's what got my thoughts going, actually. And that we're going to connect across the generations. So if I can inspire you to aspire to step up to this, and then step up for your communities, both locally and globally, that's going to be a great win-win. And, it's about being together to share experiences and learning together. So the capacity that we're hopefully building is this peer-to-peer learning with you and others. It's learning from thought leaders and holding conversations, and it'll be various mediums. Maybe there'll be some panels. It could be more of an interview like we did a bit earlier, presentational material, just as I'm doing now. Also linking to other platforms. So perhaps getting some links up there and sharing that between us all. And there'll be ideas, which, as I say, I've planned some, but also your ideas as well. So it's a partnership. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about capacity. So I guess that's really what I wanted to talk about in this launch. And Kelvin, you've helped me. Thank you so very much. Yeah. This is our, if you like, our inaugural launch. We want to get monthly episodes. So I'm going to be in contact with Kelvin and others that I have email addresses for, because I want to do monthly episodes. as a rule,
Mhm.
towards the end of the month. Because I just missed January, there will be one at the end of February.
Right.
Initially, I will be updating on email. So I have some email addresses, I will contact people, but let's get talking to the whole network. So let's roll out via WhatsApp, probably LinkedIn as well.
Mm.
So,
All right.
Kelvin, I'm going to ask you just to say a word before we close.
Right. Now, honestly, speaking, this is really a wonderful initiative, as I've once said, and I can only see positive feedback. I can only see development of young professionals, and I think this will be so inspirational to many and to the profession. I believe that the surveying community in different nationalities will grow through this initiative. So yeah, the only hope is that people are key to this and tuned to this, and that it's easily accessible to them. Yeah,
Great.
that's the
Once
only hope.
again,
Hmm.
thank you, Kelvin. And thank you, everybody who's listening to this. And I'm hoping we
Yeah.
are now in contact. Goodbye.
Right.